What is up YouTube, and today I wanted to show you guys an easy team to build for the new Advent side story. I guess not new, it's a rerun, but it is available now. And we're going to be talking about Hell mode, which is one of the modes you can auto through. For Epic Hell, you definitely want to just manual through it if you really want to actually get the rewards, because you can only do it 3 times anyways. But we're going to be showing you guys how to actually auto through the Hell mode of this boss pretty easily, so you can get those modification gems and also the currency to buy out the shop. Now, basically, the mechanics for the boss, it's pretty simple. There's 3 phases. You're going to see at the bottom here, if you actually bring units of the same element on each respective team for each phase of the boss, you're going to get a buff. For the first team, it's speed. Second team, it's health. And the third team, it'll be attack. So basically, you want to kind of stack the same element. You're going to see for the first and second team, it's all earth for what I'm using. And for the third team, I'm using 2 ice and an earth unit. So basically, the mechanics for the boss are pretty simple. For the first team, you want to bring just a ton of AoE damage. If you are worried that your units might die, because usually people won't run a healer or tank in this first phase because you just need damage, you can just run a ranger with Bloodstone, which will heal your team. So I have Landy here on Bloodstone. I'll show all the stats and builds at the end. But basically, I just have 3 AoE damage dealers of the same element, and it's pretty simple. For the second team, you're going to want to have 2 buffs up on your team at a time. So Mercenary Helga is a very, very good unit, and because we're building our team around her, you want Earth units. So I decided to have Violet here because he can tank and do a ton of damage, and Falconer Clary to provide some extra healing, as well as having a defense break as well, so very, very powerful. And this team is pretty much going to be very simple to build. You just need Falconer Clary and Mercenary Helga, both free-to-play units, and you don't even need Violet. You can just put Falconer Clary in the front and just bring any earth damage that you have, like Euphine, or even not even earth, right? Because you don't really need earth stacks here because of the fact that it gives you health, and you don't really die with Falconer Clary on your team anyways. So just whatever damage dealer with Mercenary Helga and Falconer Clary should be fine, because Mercenary Helga can keep up the buffs for you. Third team, very simple, just a one-shot. You don't really need to do the mechanics. Just bring Cigarette and also Karin, and if you have a Saria, bring her as well. You have a Saria go first, then Karin, and then Cigarette, and the boss should die. Might not be in the first rotation, but should die very shortly after. So this is the first phase of the boss. This boss has ads that she spawns, and she won't really take damage until these ads die. Vivian is the GOAT here because she has immunity and attack buff for your team, so you want her to go first, because attack buff, of course, makes you run faster. And also the immunity buff is very nice because these ads have a blind debuff, which is very, very annoying if they counter like this. So just by having that immunity makes it safer. And you're going to see that Vivian does clean up these ads very quick, and then, you know, you can just take on the boss after. You only really need Vivian for this. Other spots can be filled with whatever. Just make sure you don't bring like SSB or anything that uses Fighting Spirit, because Fighting Spirit gains do not work in this first phase. Now for the second phase here, we have Falconer Clary leading off with that defense break, and then we have Mercenary Helga here with her S3 to put up the 2 buffs, and then Violet will be just hitting the boss and tanking in the front, hopefully dodging and counterattacking just to make the run a bit faster. He also has attack down on his S1, so you can actually reduce the damage taken by the boss. You just have to be careful. This boss sometimes will have some RNG because she has a built-in stun, which is super annoying, so some of your runs will take longer if you get hit by that stun, but for the most part, this team is pretty safe because they have a ton of healing and just consistent defense breaks all around, and as you can see, the boss goes down without too much difficulty here. Third phase, Asteria goes first. You want her to be on 70% effectiveness to actually land her buffs. You also want her on 100% crit, because if you don't actually crit the boss cleanses itself of all debuffs. So you really want to make sure all of your units are maxed out crit for sure. Karin goes after into the defense break. She also has a defense break herself in case the boss resists. And then Sigurd S3 is after. This should pretty much almost kill. If I just put a little bit better stats on her, she will actually kill with it, but Saria does kill here. Almost. And then Karin will finish up. So yeah, pretty simple, pretty fast team, and very, very consistent for the most part. For my team, I can make it faster if I just, you know, make my Sigurd one shot at the end with better gear. But, you know, all these teams are very, very powerful and pretty easily accessible. I think the hardest unit to get here is Landy, but you can replace Landy with just any unit, honestly, that does AoE damage. I just have her in because she just makes my runs way more stable with her speed buff, CR push, and Bloodstone. So yeah, this is the team here. I'm going to start with the first team, which is featuring Vivian. So Vivian, you want her to be the fastest, right? She's the fastest on my team. You can also utilize her imprints. I don't even know if I utilized it, but, you know, she also has attack imprint, which is very nice. And yeah, just pretty standard. Just make sure she's on the exclusive equipment that will CR push herself, and she's pretty good for this boss fight. Next, we have Landy on Bloodstone to heal my team. Like I said, nothing too special. You just want her to be on full damage and just do a ton of damage. You can put her in the front even because she has Bloodstone, so she can heal herself, or it doesn't really matter if you put her in the front mostly, but she's very, very powerful here. Next we have Vildred on the first team. Ton of damage. I have him on the EE that does extra damage when an enemy is defeated. This one is pretty useless. You probably want the one that does extra damage with his S3 if you want more damage. But you also want him to be decently fast, but not too fast where he's faster than Vivian because you want him to get those buffs. Same with Landy. Second team, we have Mercenary Helga. She is going to be on whatever artifact really. It doesn't really matter how you guys build these units as long as you have the right units. But you want her to have at least, I believe, 20% effectiveness so she can land her debuffs, her defense break, with this effectiveness buff on her S3. Then we have Falconer Clary here, fastest on the team for defense breaking. You want her to be at 70% effectiveness. I know I'm at 62, but whatever, I'll fix it later. And then I have Nostalgic Music Box because this will actually put up more buffs on your team, so you can actually reach that 2 buff threshold. But honestly, you can put it on Aureus, doesn't really matter, just any artifact. I just have it on Music Box because, yeah, why not? Next, we have Violet here. You want him to be on a dodge artifact, obviously. Immunity's not really needed. You kind of want, like, Pen Set if you have it to make your runs faster, but this is just my PvP Violet, so I just left him how he is. He's not at 100% crit because of his Perception here, which we'll always use on the first turn. And Lifesteal is very, very nice, although not required because you should be good if you have Falconer Clary with the healing. And keep in mind the second team, you get HP as a bonus, so you are very, very tanky. Like, I think my Falconer Clary, which shows at 22k health, has like 32k health on the boss fight. And then the last team, Sigurd MVP does all the damage. Her artifact, honestly, if I put some artifact charms into this and increase the attack on it, she'll probably one-shot. Ooh, I do not mean to do that. Interesting. But yeah, maxed out skills, obviously. Rage set, very nice, not a requirement. Destruction works as well, or even attack. Karin here is on my destruction set. Have it on Symbol of Unity because Daydream Joker doesn't work here, right? And then you want her to have the exclusive equipment where she lands bleeds because, yeah, it'll make Sigurd's S3 do even more damage. And of course, you want Karin as high attack as possible. Now, she does have a crit chance imprint, so you can use this on your team, which is why my Sigurd is at 94. Karin's at 99 because I don't want to waste any subs, so 1% of the time I won't crit, and it'll cleanse the defense break, but whatever. And then, of course, we have Viseria here. Fastest on the team, at least 70% effectiveness. I have way too much on her because honestly, what I did is I went into this thing and then I just pressed this button, I did this, and it just kind of went into that. But yeah, you don't need as much as I do. You just need 70%. Anything over is wasted. So make sure she's fast enough. Putting her on damage is a bonus, but you want her on 100% crit, so use a crit chance necklace because if you don't crit, it'll cleanse the defense break and the unbuffable. And I have her on glow wings because, yeah, I don't have my targeting artifact, what is it called again? Song of Stars available because I'm using it in Rift. So I have her on this artifact just for the shield, but you can use pretty much anything you want and it should be fine. Even like Nogwell's artifact or even Elfeld's artifact should work as well for the extra chance to defense break. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this team. For the side story, you need 9 units built, which is kind of annoying, but if you do have these units, they all should be very easy to get. Besides like Landy, you can always replace Landy with pretty much any AoE damage dealer that doesn't use Fighting Spirit, right? You can use a unit such as, like, even like Charles should work because his S3 should kill the ads, right? You just need, honestly, a unit with 1 AoE S3 because your Vivian should be able to kill everything after your Vildred or whatever AoE damage dealers you use do their damage abilities, because Vivian will go 3rd after she actually uses this S3, so her S2 should be enough to clean up. So yeah, hopefully this video helped you guys out, and if you guys are using different teams or you have better teams that you have in mind, let me know in the comments down below. I'm curious to see what teams you guys use. There's a ton of teams you can use for this. I just found this team to be the fastest for me. So let me know in the comments what you guys actually use for this side story.